Hello everyone, this is the Roving Reporter, and today I'm going to be using a feature inside most of the video conferencing features and platforms, the chat, specifically the chat feature of video conferencing tools like Zoom or Google Meet or Teams. I'm using Zoom to give you as an example, and what I'm going to show you is what I do with my students using the chat feature. The two things that I would like us to focus on. Basically, it works as kind of a prompt or an interesting way to give instant feedback on, mistakes or ways that they can say stuff, make some good comments while they are speaking. So it looks like, signs that you can show them at the side while they're talking. During the activities, I post things in the chat so that they can observe and make changes as they go along. This takes some time, of course, but it's a great way to do that. Also, what can be done is using this chat feature, I save the chat and then make these kind of a note recording, or as we would say, maybe a combination of all of the most important language points, comments that I've suggested, and I would then send this to them, share this with them as a document that they can go back and review. So they have all the most important points that were raised during that conversation, the important sentences, whatever they need to remember, it's shared as a document to all the students. So let's take a look at what I do by sharing here my screen, and you would see that you click on the chat feature, and the chat, and it opens up to the side of your screen. I also ask my students to keep their chat box open as well when this lesson starts or when they're doing a speaking activity. So I write inside like this, and then I would ask them to open the chat box, yeah, so they can see it like this on the right of their screen. So that way it becomes an option here, so that let's say they're talking and I would give them some feedback, they look to the right and just see what I'm talking about, so I don't interrupt them. And this is a great advantage because as it's online there may be a delay, so if I cut them off all the time, that could distract and it could break down communication. So using the chat box like this, it's much easier. So as another point that I just mentioned, and notice I use the dot. I start with a little, we say a full stop, and then I move to the next line. I'm going to show you why. Because once I've saved it, it becomes easy to use after. So the next thing I do is I save the chat and make or use, let's say, create a document with all important language or um, content points that were covered during the lesson. So I might want to focus on specific points that they need to remember, so it's saved there. What I do then is at the end, or just before the lesson ends, I go click on those three little dots in the right corner, and it has the option of save chat. If your content, or in this case, if I'm using Zoom, you can set this on go to the settings and actually automatically put there to save the chat. If it's not there, then you just go right where I'm doing right here, click on those three little dots where it says more, and click on save chat. It automatically saves to your desktop, and then you can open that, in this case, text file, and make the necessary changes. So let me show you what one looks like, so you can have an idea what it is. So I do that, save the chat. I'm going to give you a quick example of what this file would look like. So this is what it looks like. You would have a document that's saved to your computer, your desktop. So it's a, notes. It's created like this, txt file. And it would look something like that, where you have the time and what you have said. So what I normally do is I just make some edits here, and uh, there they have uh, points. So I use this as it organizes by putting the full stop there on the top. So it looks like if it's a bullet point. So I have the bullet points of everything that was said during that lesson that I want students to remember, or I want them to pay attention to, so they can go back and review this. And this can be a great document I can use for further reference. I can use this to revise content with my students afterwards. So this is a great way to use the chat feature in your online classes. And this is what I do. Students love it. I send it to them right after the class. I just make the changes like I'm doing here. And then, I get them to always go back and review this as much as possible. All right, it can be a great way to summarize the main points from the lesson. So it looks something like this, you see. So it gives me a great overview of what was covered in that particular lesson. There's a quick few changes. I save it and send it to them. So there you have it. I think this is what I wanted to share with you. See, open the chat, let them use it, let them see it. So I tell students to open the chat as well, and I open the chat and I just write in the comments there. So I don't interrupt them while they're talking. I let them I give them this chance to talk naturally and let's say as fluently as possible to help develop their fluency. And at the same time, I'm saving this document for future reference. I'm saving for them to go back and review, and I have something that we can all work with, very nicely and neatly arranged and organized. So that's it. This is the Roving Reporter. I hope you enjoyed this little, demonstration of what I do with my students using the chat feature in video conferencing tools like Zoom, like Google Meet, like Microsoft Teams. That's it. So don't forget to click on the like button after you've watched this video or even before, and share with the teacher. Don't forget to press, the bell to get notifications when you have new videos like these. Thank you very much. Take care. So when you make recordings onto your computer, you can record onto the cloud or onto your computer. The Zoom automatically creates, by default, right, a Zoom folder inside Documents. So you go there, and if you have not activated the feature of saving the chat automatically in the settings, you can do that by clicking, as I showed in the previous video, on the three buttons right there in the bottom right corner which says More, and you can choose a document. It opens up with a file, the name of that event or that meeting you had, and you choose the student you want to work with. So you click on that and it shows you meeting, save, chat. So this is a document you're going to be working with. This is a document you're going to use to edit and send back to your students. Okay,